my journey to Unique, how I got to Unique. I've been with Unique about 6 months. Matter of fact, I'm like been with Unique as long as I think most of the people that are working here. Longer than Tori, longer than Julie. So I'm like one of the veterans. So I owned a gym before I trained at Unique, and my partner in the gym that owned it with me was Jesse Allen, who's our VP of Product Development. And Jesse took a job at Unique full-time, and I bought the gym. And he called me one day, and he's like, hey, I got a client for you. He's a train wreck. Back, skinny, looks like kind of like Ichabod Crane. And he came in, don't tell him I said that. You know? So he came in. I think I'm the only one in this company that can make fun of Derek openly and get away with his stuff. When you control someone's workout, you wield tremendous power, let me tell you. So anyway, so that's how I met Derek. So Derek came and I started training him one-on-one.
Welcome back.
So this is a picture, this is not a long time ago. You can see how different he looks. His neck is like not as skinny.
Just me and you, baby.
Shoulders, like barely shoulders or even, like you can't even tell he has shoulders. He needs those pads. And then kind of, well, that's how it's supposed to look. And that's so as you can see, it was a tall order. I had my work cut out for me. This fast forward, that's Derek. That's not me, by the way. That's Derek. Wow. So he would die if he knew. I think probably knows now, but so that's how I came to Unique. But a funny thing happened. So at the time when I met Derek, I was in just a rough, dark spot in my life. And I think Derek was in some senses too. He had this great, successful company, but he had these debilitating back pain, and as you know, Derek's had a lot of physical ailments and stuff. And so I started training Derek, and I don't know, several months into it, he hatched this idea of starting this corporate fitness program at Unique, where I would come in and I would train like the executives and do small group training with the managers and provide some exercise classes for the company. And I was retired, I didn't really want to, I don't know if I was in the right frame of mind to do that. And I was pretty hesitant to do it. So I was like, I'll be a consultant and I'll just come in. And so I think he went back to the executive team and he was kind of like, no, Derek's always seen things in me that I couldn't see in myself. He's like, we want you to be full-time because we want you to be there, not just for everybody, not just the execs, but for everybody. And so I said, I don't know if I want to do that. And so I was like, by the way, how much would that pay? And so, this went on for like 3 months, and I kept saying, he kept saying, yeah, let's do it. Well, these offers kept getting better and better. I was not trying to negotiate for more money, but it was working. The money was going up, and the vacation days were going up, and so it was awesome. But what I realized really quickly, I finally accepted the job to come to Unique. When I got the job, I did not have the same title I have now. The title that I originally had when I got the job was Director of Fitness, which is a lot different from what it is now, which is Director of Corporate Wellness. In fitness, you're often alone. You can go jogging by yourself, you can work out by yourself. There's really no risk with the occasional pulled hamstring or strained muscle. It's unemotional. As a matter of fact, my experience is, in particular when we get stressed, we actually use fitness to escape our emotions. Anyone do that? I'm so stressed out, I got to run on the treadmill, or I just want to work out, I just want to forget about it. That's not inherently bad. Well, it can be, but it's not always bad. And fitness is often sporadic. Our fitness lives, anyone have the roller coaster fitness wheel? We're going to talk about how you can actually fix that. Wellness, on the other hand, true wellness, absolutely requires community. The first time I ever wrote this slide, I wrote, usually needs community. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's not usually, you always need a community to have true wellness. It requires emotional risk and emotional commitment, and it requires us to have habits. So I learned really quickly, about a week into my job as director of fitness, when one gal came into my office, and she was a heavy-set gal, and she had been struggling with her weight for so long, and she came in, and the floodgates just opened, and she was just, she has a hard life. She was struggling, and she came in to look for help, to ask for help, and I realized real quick, my job has almost nothing to do with fitness. It's all about wellness, because at that very point in time, she did not need me to say, go walk on a treadmill, or don't eat French fries. That's not what she needed me to say. She needed me to say, I get it, I understand. She didn't need me to throw her a rope down into her pit, and she needed me to crawl down in the pit with her and help her find a way out. So the whole wellness thing is, the whole wellness aspect really hit home to me, and I realized super quick, this was a big revealing thing for me about what wellness is. These are the three big things I'm going to talk about. This is life-changing. This is what took perseverance, process, and acceptance to the next level for me. Because what I didn't realize is, as much as I had been through, and in this really dark place where I had met Derek, that I was at the tip of the iceberg. I was completely lost. I didn't know where to go. But this is where it all came to me. Sorry, I get kind of emotional sometimes when I think about some of this stuff. So I told you about my resurrection of my career, right? We lost the triplets, but then my career got better. We won the Super Bowl. I got rewarded with a 3-year contract, right? Big signing bonus, toast to the town. The following year, I go out 3 games into it. That's it. I never made it back. That was my last time on the football field right there, that picture. They took me off, and I never got back. So it was a devastating and really life-changing event for me, because my whole life, as I talked about last time, I was Rob Morris, the football player. And even in the midst of all those struggles, the physical struggles and the acceptance issues with the triplets and all of those things, all of a sudden my identity was gone. Everything about who I was gone. It was all taken away from me, in the snap of this knee. So I went from being at the very top of the mountain to kind of being completely lost. I was, again, All-American, first-round draft pick, Super Bowl champion, new contract, beautiful wife. At this point, I had one son, and we were soon to get pregnant with a daughter. After my daughter was born, right before her first birthday, this is 3 years removed from me being at the pinnacle of my life and the pinnacle of my career. It was December 26th, the day after Christmas, 2009, and I woke up and I was in the University Neuropsychiatric Institute. If you want a translation, that's the loony bin. I was in the adult ward detox unit, because I had gotten to the point where I couldn't deal with my problems anymore. The only thing that I could use to deal with them was drugs and alcohol. My life had spiraled out of control. I was no longer Rob Morris that could conquer everything, and Rob Morris that persevered, and the processes and the acceptance. Everything had completely just crumbled down for me. And so from that point, for the next 6 years of my life, it was a roller coaster. I was in and out of treatment centers. I was in the hospital for 5 or 6 days the very first time, just because I was so sick and I was such a mess. I was in and out of treatment centers, and 6 years I tried to get sober. I tried to figure it out. I couldn't figure out how to do it. Partnered up with this guy Jesse Allen, got a gym. Fast forward, and I met Derek. He became my client. And I was talking to Tori last night, and we all love Derek, me particularly, and I formed like a special bond and relationship with him. And it's because when I met Derek, I was literally at the low, darkest point of my entire life. And quite frankly, I think in some aspects of his life, he was at that same place, physically, from a physical standpoint. And so we came together, and something strange happened. He would talk to me as though I had these qualities. I'd be like, what are you talking about? He would say things to me, he would see things in me, and I could not see what he saw. I couldn't see. He would talk about the people skills and the leadership skills, and I was baffled by what he was, because quite I didn't want to deal with life anymore. You know, I have 2 kids, a family, but I have no coping skills, no strategies. In other words, all those lessons that I learned from all the perseverance, they didn't matter. Why didn't they matter? Because I didn't have any of the big 3. I didn't have a community, I didn't have any habits, and I was completely emotionally shut down. I would not take an emotional risk. So I think at this time I was debating about whether or not I was going to take this job that Derek had offered me. And I went back to a place called Cirque Lodge, which is a treatment center where I had gone too many times, unfortunately. I went back just to spend 2 or 3 days with one of my counselors there. And this guy named Aaron, he was great, changed my life. And something happened to me, and I said, Aaron, I just want to rewrite my whole moral code, and I just want to, I want to like reestablish who I am and what I believe in. But I don't know if I should take this job because I'm terrified, because I have my gym and I have a few friends there, and I don't want to leave those friends because I don't know what will happen. And by the way, I'm not qualified to take this job. I'm not I have no educational background in fitness or wellness or just sort of what I've read from books, and I sort of self-educated myself about things. So I was terrified of what would happen. And he said something to me that really changed me that day. He said, why don't you just start living your life and live the life that you want to live, and that will rewrite your story. So going back to this idea of revealing our path, I was trying to reveal it. I was trying to open everything up, open all these doors up. And he said, why don't you just start walking and see where your path goes? So I did that. The first thing I ever did was huge, life-changing to this day. I made a goal, a decision, that I was going to meditate. It's a strange thing, right? I had always wanted to meditate. But I knew one thing. I knew I had tried 1,000,000 times to meditate, and I had failed 1,000,000 times. So I decided that I would meditate for 1 minute a day. It was something that I knew that I could accomplish. So I started to meditate for 1 minute a day. And that absolutely changed my life. And that was about 9 months ago. And I'm up to 5 minutes. That's shocking. And if we think it's funny, just sit down and close your eyes and be quiet for 5 minutes, and then get back to me on that. It's tough, right? But when I meditate, I close my eyes, and I always see this door in the upper right-hand corner. And I do not know what that door is, and I don't know where it goes, and I don't know what's behind it, but it's the strangest visual. I see a door. And I believe that's part of my path, and I think someday that will open up. But what happened to me when I started to meditate for 1 minute a day is that I started to create a habit. Anyone know how long it takes to form a habit?
21 days.
False. It's false. Keep going. I'll just keep saying false. There's no number. There's no number. There's no number on a habit. Right? That's bro science. It can be anywhere from, I think the research says it's from like 14 to 128 days. It really depends on where you're at in your life, what the habit looks like. Do you have any other habits that you can tack that on top of? There's a couple things that are really important with habits. The reason I succeeded in my habit with meditation was because it was really simple. 1 minute a day, right? When we create habits, they have to be so simple, and I'll go down to number 3, and so certain that we almost cannot fail. Is working out every day a habit? Absolutely not. Why? Because you got to get up, you got to not hit the snooze button, you got to brush your teeth. You have to make 400 decisions before you ever get to the gym. But a lot of those little tiny decisions, right, that we can make habitual, they give us the energy to actually get to the gym when we're doing those tiny little habits. So a habit has to be very simple. It has to be very scalable. In other words, if anyone ever wanted to lose weight?
Preach.
Yeah.
So if we both if me and you want to build a habit around weight loss, what does it usually look like our goals? Lose 20 pounds, lose 15 pounds. They're all outcome-based goals. But what should they look like? It should be scalable. It should be something daily, but it should be something that we can do with somebody else. In other words, we can say, I want to eat more vegetables. Together as a group, all of us just eat more vegetables. For me, that might mean 3 servings of vegetables, because I like vegetables. For Derek, who hates cooked vegetables, it might mean I will eat a cooked vegetable every day. Or for you, it might mean I will eat 1 serving of vegetables. Does that make sense? So now we have this common goal that's scalable, right? It's very vague. We always say, we're always taught to make very specific goals. Well, that's good. That's fine. There's not a problem with that. But I'm just saying, as a group, when you're working, and this applies really well to your businesses, because when you're working with your downline, particularly with new presenters that are coming up, and you're setting goals with them, it should be a goal that not only that they're working on, but you can work on with them. So for them, the goal might say, Haley talked about Facebook. The goal might be improve, what's the goal? Add 2 people, or add people. Add people, that's the goal. Add people is generally vague, right? For Haley, who's, what's that? Okay, so Haley, hers might be 10, right? Brand new gal, what's hers? 1 person. Or like 1 person. So now, Haley and brand new gal can talk about it. And they're both achieving, because I submit to you that the way that we've thought of habits and goal setting is completely backwards, because all we're thinking about is getting to the actual goal, which is the result or the outcome. But what we really need is to just get a victory, a small victory, so that we can pat ourselves on the back. Because if any of you are like me, and I have this sneaky suspicion that many of you are just like me, you have a tendency to beat the living crap out of yourself. And the reason that happens is because we set our goals, and I'm not saying don't have big dreams. Please don't mistake what I'm saying. Right? I'm just saying that in order to achieve those things, we have to have some scalable things that are certain, that are very simple. Habits are a huge part of our life. At some point, we have to stop saying the word I can't. I can get it. There are things that we can do. I understand that. Well, let me ask you this question. What can you do? That's what I'm talking about with habits. Habits aren't about, I desperately want to do this thing that I've never been able to do. Habits are about, I'm going to do this thing that I'm so sure that I can do that I cannot fail, and then I'll pat myself on the back. And then, when I've gotten really good at it, then I'll increase it. Then I'll scale it up. So when you come into Unique, right, and you want to be like Tina or Chantel or Haley, and you set those same benchmarks, good luck. What's going to happen? It's going to be a struggle, right? What can you do? What can you do super effectively? So habits was one of the first things that I learned that really helped me. Habits are about winning. They're not about the actual habit. It's not about what we're trying to do. It's just about getting a win. The second most important thing, and why the scalability factor is so important, why it's important for me and Haley to have the same general, broad statement of intent, but yet work on very specific what we want to work out, is this. Because when we have me and you, look at this complex mathematical equation. Me and you equal us. And mostly my whole life, it was me and you. And that's as far as I was willing to go. But when we have community, we create, this is what's beautiful about Unique. This is the great thing about Unique. And I'm still learning about the winged eyebrow.
Eyebrow.
But what you have that clearly I am not part of is that you speak a common language. You speak a language of community, and your language is to what? Uplift, empower, and validate. There's no question about what your language is that you speak. And so now, every habit that you set up, every goal that you put out there, you have this mission that you can compare it against. Does this uplift? Will this uplift my team? Does this empower? Is this going to validate somebody? The losses don't always help. We need to help each other get wins. In the community, this is huge because I had no community, and I met Derek, and he started to become my community. And that's when things really, this is what community looks like for me. Most of the time, right? When it's just me up here, I'm comfortable. So long as it's you guys down there, that seems comfortable to me. But when it's us, that is very uncomfortable to me. That is vulnerability. That is the paranoia that I experienced when I was looking at my cell phone 20 minutes ago and realized that someone had posted a video of me and that I'm putting my stuff out there and it's public domain now. And the things that I share, that is scary to me, right? But I know that that's what I have to do to be. So me is comfortable, you is comfortable, us is vulnerable. But this is what's really happening. When it's just me, I'm anxious, I'm afraid, I'm lonely, and I feel inadequate. Right? Because when I look at you, this is what I see. I see neurotic, I see different, I see better, I see worse. Right? I see people that aren't like me. You don't understand me. You haven't been through the same things. How can there be a we? Right? Because quite frankly, you guys, it's scary to put myself out there. This is vulnerability. This is the reality right here. Vulnerability is growth. It's challenges. It's strength. It's peace. It's acceptance. It's belonging. It's sort of a huge thing in life. But before I got to Unique, I didn't have any vulnerability. I wasn't willing to talk about the things that I'm now willing to talk about. When I got to Unique, this vulnerability thing, another way to say this is emotional risk. It's being willing to do something. It's being willing, as Brene Brown would say, it's being willing to tell somebody, I love you, and not be 100% sure that they're going to say it back. That's emotional risk. That's vulnerability. And so when I took this job, that's what I had to do. I had to be willing to go and fall flat on my face, right, in an effort for me to get healthy and for me to get better. Now, what's funny is when Derek hired me, and he told me this much later, when he hired me, it was a risk. Because he's like, I knew one of two things would happen. I knew either that you would lose interest really quick and just kind of fade away and not do it. Or he said, I knew you would grab it and run with it and go with it. And I think that's what I've done. I hope that's what I've done. So what I've learned since I've been with Unique is that the fears that I have about me and you becoming us, when I allow that to happen, when I'm vulnerable, when I take a chance, then I learn the lessons of perseverance. But I don't learn them together, or by myself. We learn them together. I learn how important the processes are because I'm not working on the process by myself. I'm working on it with you. I learn about acceptance because I'm not just sitting alone trying to accept the reality of my life, right? In a hospital ward, in a psychiatric institute, but I'm out in the community and I'm talking about it with you in my community. And the habits, I'm not doing them by myself. I'm doing them with you guys. Right? We're scaling, we're making it work for us. And then the community, this is the community. When I left the gym, it was a huge risk because I didn't know if I could find a community. My community at Unique is unlike any community that I've ever had before. And my community is Melanie and Derek and Mindy and Kayla and Shannon and Tori and Matt Cooley. I mean, I have a community that is ridiculous, and I share my ups and my dance, community is not like a bonfire where we all talk about the great things that we do and all the happy things. Community is, you know, is when we talk about the dirt. Because let me tell you this. I don't want to tell you guys about my dirt. I would prefer to just, you know, put up the Super Bowl picture again and tell you more about how great I am and how awesome my life is. But the reality of it is that I share this stuff. I don't share it for you. I share it for me. Right? Because the only shot that I have of helping anybody is if I'm healthy. And the only shot I have to be healthy is to be emotionally vulnerable. Julie said something earlier interesting. She had a slide up there. And the slide said, what did it say, Julie? It said, sooner or later, everything connects. But you know what I love about that slide? What's interesting about that slide? We never, ever, ever get to see anything connect looking forward. We only get to see it connect looking backward. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know anything that's going on looking forward. I can only connect these dots looking backward. So for me, my journey to Unique has been really amazing. And I truly, I thank you for being part of my journey. And I'm so grateful that I could be part of your journey. And that's all I got. Thanks for letting me share.